Wow. Every time we come back here, we got more things to plug in.
Yeah.
More things to set up.
Good. It's exciting.
What's up, man?
Not much. What's going on?
I've been gone for 8 days.
Yeah, I know.
In Cabo San Lucas.
Right.
And all I can think about is how much everybody hates the gym.
Right. Well, it's, I mean,
not our gym,
right,
but the gym.
Right. Well, I mean, you came back mentioning this, like how people in the hotel gym seemed lost or didn't know what to do or just wandering around. So tell me a little bit more about that. Like
we went to the gym every day, and there was a wide array of people. There was easily $250,000 to $500,000 worth of equipment in the gym, but somehow if you got 3 people in there, it was way too crowded. It was way overcrowded. They had 20 ellipticals, 1 rower, they had 1 rack.
Right.
It was a 4-sided rack, but only one side you could put a barbell in.
Right.
So you could only have one person in the squat. There was 1 set of 45-pound plates, 1 set of 35-pound plates, 1 set of 25-pound plates, and then a bunch of change plates.
Right.
1 set of each. They were like half kilo and then half pounds. So I just, as a test, wanted to deadlift all of the weight that they had in the gym, and I did.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a lot of people's attention. It matched up pretty well with our 1-rep tests this week. So we're in a strength phase. I did my very best to keep up with the programming.
Okay, that's great.
They only had a rower. They didn't have a skier, so I did the row intervals and worked up to a heavy single in the back squat. I think I was up to 405 for a single on the back. On the deadlift.
Okay.
405 on the deadlift. The front squat I did 355.
Okay.
The back squat I did 385.
Nice.
And the rest of the time I just used the Techno Gym plate loaded equipment.
Yeah, get some bodybuilding type stuff.
It was awesome. They're really cool pieces of equipment, but they're $20,000 each, and you can do one thing.
Yeah.
And then it makes no sense because you're stuck on it. Only one person can do it at a time. So the whole time, all I could think is like, this is very inefficient.
Sure.
This does not work well. This is not a good way to set up a gym at all.
Right.
And like if we were to redo it, if all gyms across the world, all membership gyms, were to redo it, like how would you set it up? And I think the only way is to have like pods of every piece of equipment that you have or need in the gym, and have a station where people can access whatever they need at a time. That makes sense.
We've been to gyms like that where that kind of exists.
Well, since COVID too, a lot of gyms have set up little pods where you need that. But I think moving forward, if you were to do just a membership style gym, an Equinox gym, you'd want to set up stations, pods. And also one thing that I noticed in there is that people just don't have any urgency. There's no urgency. They're just kind of mostly looking around, watching the news, mostly watching each other. There was a lot of people doing phone workouts, way more than I can ever remember. So like following along with like a phone workout. There was one girl in particular that got every single set of dumbbells from the 5 pounds up to the 25 pounds. Mm-hmm. And she was just following along with a workout on her phone. Right. And there was a few people like kind of doing that method as well. So that was very different for me. I think that's going to be a thing moving forward, because that was never a thing that I noticed before in the past when I was a member of like any membership gyms. People would maybe be like checking their phone or on their phone, logging their weights or following a program, but not in real time with somebody else who's doing the workout.
Right. What do you think is the real driver of this kind of lack of energy or lethargy or focus? Do you think it's like the way the gym is set up? Do you think it's people just don't know any better? Is it a lack of effort or a lack of care? Like, what do you think is the driver?
I mean, no one even knows why they're there. Mm-hmm. That's what it seemed like to me.
Right.
I think move the mic a little bit closer to you.
Okay.
But I got the sense that people were just very confused And what they did, I think, spoke a lot more to their identity than to anything else. There was, there's people that went right for the Peloton, and that was like, they were Peloton people. They wore the Peloton clothes. They were all in Peloton, and they sort of just trusted Peloton to be the way that they worked out.
Right.
And then there were people, like I said, following along with an instructor on their phone. There was the people who clearly just did the machine-based weight training. The techno gym chest press, the techno gym leg press. But the plate stacks that are very clearly defined as to like how you do it. And then there was obviously like the guys that would go in there and just do a bunch of arms and maybe a few sets of bench press, and they had their weight gloves.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, what I find fascinating is like gyms have been set up like basically in that way for the last 50 years. You could look at that as being a long time or not that long a time, I guess, whatever your perspective is. But like the introduction of Nautilus machines and then other subsequent machines and like kind of the modern era of what like a big box gym looks like is probably about 50 years in the making. You're looking at like the mid 70s, maybe when this first started. So for 50 years, gyms have kind of been set up kind of the same, right? I mean, now you have like some variety with like CrossFit gyms or boutique gyms, but most big gyms or hotel gyms or building gyms are set up the same way they've been for 50 years. It's just amazing to me that people go in there and they still don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like they don't know, like nobody gets it. And I don't know if that's like a lack of drive, if it's just people go to the gym to check it off their list, if it's a lack of education where they just don't know what to do or how training really works. And probably if I had to put my hand up and vote for anything, I think it's that. I think people want to feel effective in the gym. I mean, we talk to people all the time, and that's a big reason why they come to us is they want meaningful fitness every time they walk in the gym, as well as, a big picture approach that makes sense and all the puzzle pieces linked together. So I don't think it's just like people go just because, I have to spend 45 minutes in the gym. But I think that's what it ends up being a lot of the times. Yeah. It's kind of amazing.
And I think part of the problem is everybody's doing different things. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of value to the fact that if you go to a yoga class, everybody's doing yoga. Everybody's in that class. If you go to any boot camp at all, at least everybody's doing the same thing. You really think about how crazy it is that you have these spaces where you have all these different groups of people training all these different types of modalities in the same space. Like, can you imagine if the weightlifter and the yoga were right next to each other?
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think a huge advantage to the way we set up our gyms in our communities is at least everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Just at its base, at its core, everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power to that when you set up a space.
For sure. Having a program, following a program, and having belief in that program is probably more important than the program itself, right? So if people are actually in there with some structure, everyone doing it together, there's some unity and some solidarity, community and teamwork, and then everybody's putting their heart and soul into something, you're going to get good results, even if the thing isn't like, beautifully structured. But when everything is just everyone and everything is all over the place, it's just hard to have a good outcome from something like that.
Do you remember when we started the gym?
Yeah, of course.
How much of the reason behind starting it was to get people all doing something together? Like, was at any point when we set up, was that something that you were willing to negotiate or bargain on? It's like having people do different things or different programs.
No. And it was even to the detriment of our probably financial well-being that we would not waver on that. A lot of people wanted to come in and have open gym times. I still speak to people who are wondering if there's any opportunity to come in and use the equipment or supplement their training with open gym time or do their own thing. And we've always been staunchly against that because I think we know better. I mean, you and I love to train. We've made our life out of it. We've invested a lot of time and knowledge and effort and finances into getting good at it and making it our career. And we wouldn't do that. Like, we've found value in training in groups around other people. We know that is just far superior to doing it on our own or everybody kind of doing their own thing. granted, sometimes someone needs some sort of movement regression or some sort of alteration, but in general, everyone is doing the same thing. And that's huge. It's amazing that a lot of people resist that in the beginning because everyone thinks they need their own program and their own.
Dude, I still resist it.
Special needs taken care of.
I still resist
like
it. I liked doing whatever I wanted. It's attractive. It's seductive. That never goes away. Yeah. And it's why people who love our gym, love our system, still say like, wouldn't it be nice if you had open gym times? Because that idea is attractive.
Yeah. I mean, I think people also like to spend times doing the things they enjoy, right? And it gives them the opportunity to do that. And that's fine. But from a training outcome standpoint, it's just very hard to argue the unity of the team. It's why people with the most on the line to gain from fitness, whether it's strength athletes like power lifters or Olympic weightlifters or strongmen, or people who do athletics on the Olympic level or the professional level or the collegiate level, when they get in the strength and conditioning room, when it's training time, they do it together. And at the very least, the positional players or the people who need similar strength qualities or similar energy systems all train together and train it that way, because you will get the most out of it. You know, if you're like a YouTube fan like I am and you see these high school or college kids, particularly the football players, getting together in the weight room, and 30 of them are surrounding this one guy who's going for a clean PR, it is hard to beat that energy and what that brings out of people. Like, it is just not doable if you are in the corner of a crunch doing, your cable flies or whatever. Like, that stuff, it's not that those movements or those things are bad. It's just definitely not the same. And you just need to be exposed to it over and over again to see the value. It's quite honestly, like, to bring it back to our model, it's why people come to us and stay with us and kind of have an enlightenment of like, oh my God, I didn't know that like training and fitness could be this, because they do value it and it is important to them, but they didn't know that it could kind of be this thing. And I think that is, if there's a kind of a calling card of what we do or what we bring to fitness for people, I think it's that the unity of program and community can just elevate everything that you care about when it comes to your training and your fitness.
Yeah. What is it, in your words, what is it that we do that people might not understand about like how we set the gym up? Like, one, everybody does the same program.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody does the same program. The programs progress from week to week.
Two, the programs progress week to week. And that's indefinite. Phase. Like there's levels to that too. It progresses week to week. It progresses in 4-week blocks. Mm-hmm. So like month to month, basically. And then even year to year, there's levels to the progression. That it never really, and then it recycles in a way, but every time you come back through the cycle, you're more developed. Yeah. It's a long enough period of time that you're a different trainee.
Definitely. Yeah. You approach one program and then you approach that same program with 3 years of experience, it's going to be a different thing for you, for sure. The other thing I think that we don't talk about that much, but I think is a huge differentiator, is not just how like the weeks and the training phases are structured, but the workouts themselves. We definitely put a lot of thought into what the hour looks like and how we organize that hour in a way that makes sense based on pretty basic training principles, which, as I say this out loud, is just like, oh, of course you do this, but not a lot of other places or kind of organizations or facilities do that.
What would you say that our training sessions cover? Like, what, no matter what phase, no matter what program you're in, like what is going to be covered in a training session?
Okay. So I would say there's 4 things basically that we will work on in any training session. And one is movement competency. And that can be pretty broad, but it can be certainly range of motion and technique in the exercises themselves. But even things like mobility or joint integrity, breathing mechanics, anything that has to do with movement and optimizing movement, I think we spend some time working on that. I would say strength in a way that is meaningful to people. Not like, hey, grab the 25-pound dumbbells. It's, let's see what you can do. Let's record that and let's build upon that. So that strength is progressive over your time training with us, and it makes sense based on the parameters of training for that day.
Yeah, and it's got to be in some sort of implement that allows for specificity and continued development.
Right.
Like if you're stuck with 25 pounds, like say you have 25-pound dumbbells at home, you can't really address this type of training quality that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like
because you don't have the tools to do it, right?
You need to be specifically able to increase, and you need to be able to do it at least indefinitely to your capability.
Yeah.
Right.
And in very small increments, if that's what's
very
necessary.
Precise, right? In a really precise manner.
Yeah. Most people need to progress in very small doses.
All right. Okay. So we got movement quality. We got strength.
Yeah. Work capacity.
Work capacity.
Yeah. Or what a lot of people would call cardiovascular health and fitness. Your ability to do more work over shorter periods of time.
I think of that as energy systems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a similar thing. Like your ability to like put out work, to like do and perform over periods of time.
Yeah. And across like, a variety of energy systems. I would say there are some that we don't touch, but just based on the structure of the program, and it's not why people come to us. Like long, slow duration exercise is probably helpful when you see people for 2 or 3 or 4 hours a week. Training that specifically is probably not why people come to us. But for the majority of energy systems, we're trying to touch upon them in meaningful ways. Again, track those, make sure we're building upon them for week to week, so that you can see both your results in the gym, whether you're doing a row or a ski or a bike, and knowing that, you're getting better at those things. Or even if you're out in the world and you're chasing your kid around or you're running up the subway stairs, everyone knows that feeling of like not having trained for a while, running up the subway stairs and not understanding why you feel so terrible. So, I think it carries over to that stuff. So that's number 3.
So number 3 is that work capacity, energy systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, body composition improvements.
That's kind of like a result.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. But a big motivator for a lot of people. Reason a lot of people start training.
Yeah. And still, I think about it. I would say it's not the driving force behind my training, but it matters. If I start not feeling great about my body composition and it wavers, like right now after being on my honeymoon, like I'm feeling kind of inflamed, soft, smooth. Like, and my thought is like, I got to do more. I got to get in the gym and do more. And that's going to help me with this.
Yeah. There's definitely like vanity stuff, which is not necessarily bad, but that is a component of it. But like body composition is a big factor in, resiliency, being able to do things as you age, health markers,
And it's control over your vehicle. Like you want to have dominance. You want to have domain over the vehicle that you like go through life with. Right? Sure. You want control over that. It sucks to feel like you have no control over that.
Yeah. And feeling confident in your physique is actually, a big driver of overall happiness for a lot of people. Even if that sounds vain or trite, it's really not. Like it's making physical improvements does tend to lead to happiness in general. So that's something to work on.
Go
ahead.
And I was going to say, and I think there's one more thing that we work on every session in here too.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the willpower. It's the mental side.
Yeah.
It's just, we always finish with a test of heart and will. The thaw is really just designed to suck in a safe way. Like keep you safe, not put you in harm's way or make it dangerous for you. But to make you not want to do it and then persevere, push through, get to the other side and realize the value in overcoming discomfort.
Yeah. The second level of all this stuff is once you get past like the exercise science, physical things, are the other lessons that the gym teaches you, and how you can apply those lessons to the rest of your life. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at there, is that if you can have that willpower, that resilience, that ability to overcome in a very controlled environment with parameters that are very dictated and detailed, the rest of the world can be a little bit less scary when you kind of have to face things that are a little more unpredictable, but still require that kind of mental resilience. And I think it's why a lot of people who are achievers and do well do have a very strong physical practice, because do think a lot of those things carry over, and it's just a very safe, easy to see way of developing those qualities.
It's how you develop confidence.
Yeah.
You know, and it's way more helpful to go through life feeling like you can handle more discomfort, more challenge, more whatever hardship, and feeling that you're capable of handling that versus like feeling like the world isn't, feeling like it's not as hard as it should be. Because I think that's kind of the approach that a lot of gyms will give you, is sort of like, we'll try it out and you'll see it's not as bad as you think. And like that kind of being the goal. Like, you know, try boxing. It won't be that bad. There's something about what we do that's objectively different in that everything's measurable. We're tracking what you do. You're measuring how much discomfort you're able to handle relative to everyone else, or how much you're capable of relative to everyone else, kind of in the same metric, in the same way. And as you go, you realize you can handle more, you can take more. And I still, every time I train, if I load it up right, if I'm working at the right speeds, I'm nurturing this thought process of, I can do more. I'm capable of more. And feeding that part of your brain on a regular basis is extremely powerful. Like that requires some nurturing and consistency, because when you get away from it, it goes away really quickly.
Yeah. And conversely, I would say, you know, even though we've been doing this for a long time, my personal conviction to that truth actually just grows over time. And like how much belief I have in this, the way that we train and those kind of X factor things, and how important and critical they are, and how much training does really act as a very big driver of those things.
Yeah. And I know like we're talking about it now, and I know like we will continue talking about it forever, but you got to feel it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You got to feel, there's no way that I can translate that feeling to another person or even to myself. And that's why I have to stay with it, stay vigilant. Yeah. You know, if I back off and I'm not as disciplined, like I slowly start to forget how important that is.
Yeah. Well, and it's also not, you know, it's not easy, right? It takes effort. It doesn't always feel great while it's happening. You know, people really do seek comfort, which in the big picture is like kind of a huge mistake to seek comfort constantly. But,
dude,
but
I saw it on my honeymoon. Yeah. Like everywhere. I mean, it was the ultimate expression of seeking comfort too. And you could just see how if you stayed in that place for very long, you'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
In general, as a human, it would not be good.
No, it's funny. It's like, it's the, you know, it feels like it's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like if I just keep hustling, I can then slow down and not do stuff and, you know, just be under a warm blanket. And like, that does not pan out. It just doesn't work that way.
It never feels good. No. And you're going to continue seeking like more and more levels of discomfort or more and more levels of comfort. You're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
You know, as nice as the resort was that we stayed at, as great as the service was, you still saw people nitpicking about spots on the fork, or that the server didn't come back in 5 minutes versus 3 minutes, or, you know, the wrinkle on the bed. You know, it was amazing. Like the resort was by far the best service I've ever experienced. And I definitely thought a lot about how important the customer experience is. But the more comfort you provide, just the more levels of comfort they're going to seek and expect.
Yeah. And I think
you don't want that for yourself.
Yeah. And I think there is like obviously a baseline of comfort. And then when you start drifting around apart from that baseline, I actually think there's some inverse happiness there.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you get too comfortable and seek comfort too much, I think it's just kind of depressing.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And that's the war that we're fighting, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge, it's a huge driver of why, you know, why we started the gym, why we formed the company, and the war that we're fighting every day. It's a big part of the reason we keep pushing forward. I think, at least it's a huge reason why I keep pushing forward, is just saving people from that state of seeking too much comfort.
Yeah, it's a very attractive trap, but a trap nonetheless.
Yeah. All right, well, I think it's a good place to stop for today. I'm Kyle Fields.
Dan Trink.
And we take this seriously.
And we do what works.